I'm in the Tucson, interrupting me. I'm in
No
the
problem.
Tucson and Chicago branches. And let's see, and one memorable thing is that I discovered that this one weed could be the food of the future. So I'm very happy for people in Africa for doing some of the pioneering research on London rocket. It's called Cicimbrium aereo is its Latin name. London rocket mustard. Okay.
What's it called in regular
Oh,
English?
it's London rocket mustard plant.
Oh,
And if you look it up, you know, just hit images and you'll see it's in everybody's city and everybody, it's considered a pest. I won't take any time at the meeting about this, but you know, if you want to talk to me about London rockets, email me, I'll go on.
Okay. Thanks, Gloria. So
You're
now
welcome.
we want to hear from Dr. Linda and then Robin.
Good evening, everyone. Linda Ridley. I'm in New York City, as yet revitalized New York City branch. My latest news today, I was happy to see in the news where they have discovered that they have been misdiagnosing Black patients who need kidney transplants. There's been research for several years, but they didn't take it seriously. And now they recognize that not only have they been misdiagnosing, they're trying to go back to find those people who were eligible for transplants, but the algorithms were giving out bad information. So that was exciting news today.
Thanks for that info, Dr. Ridley. We got Robin and then Tina.
Yes, hi everyone. Robin Lloyd, Burlington branch. I want to let you see the flowers I just picked from my little front garden. There's an iris, and I guess the others are crocuses, not very well displayed. And I would like to send a shout out to Sheila because we met at CSW.
Yes, we did.
Got to know each other a little bit, and that was delightful. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. It's good to see you. Okay. I love it.
And my name is Tina Shelton. Lucky to be in the same branch as Sheila. I think it's a one-word check-in. I'm going to say breath. I'm teaching my daughter that breath is a way to get our bodies to the parasympathetic nervous system and out of the stress response. And I'll say, Dr. Linda, I had heard that news not today, but a while back when when we learned about the misdiagnosing, and I was extremely sad. So I'm glad that you have the update that they're going to go back and fix it because, you know, that's where we are, right?
So, and then
thanks for the update.
Some people died already, so
yeah, it's
right.
Tough.
Hey, Sue Hilton, if you want to check in, and then Sheila Harper after you.
I think Sheila got here before I did, but I'm exhausted because I left my work late and I rode my bike over here really fast as I could, but I'm happy to be here.
All right, great.
Good for you.
Sheila and then Teresa.
Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Sheila Harper from Philadelphia Wolf Branch. And the most recent thing that I've heard that was concerning is the continued Middle East spread. I was on a call earlier this morning, 3 a.m. with what's it called? We Are Wolf International. And that was a very wonderful experience, just talking with all these women from Australia, and Teresa was there, and a number of people were there. So that's me. Good to see you, girls.
That sounds great. Teresa.
Yes. Fannie Lou Hamer branch and Advancing Human Rights Chair. My word is slowly. after being up at 3 a.m. and not taking a nap until 5:30 and heading for a doctor's appointment. I do hope we have time to talk a little bit more about the 3 a.m. meeting. There were 4 of us from the U.S. section, Joan Goddard, CC Anderson, Sheila, and myself. So I hope we get to talk about the focus that was totally on the Palestinian question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. Let me quickly check in. George Friday, with the Southern Piedmont branch in North Carolina. And I am happy to be here. My major thing today is nice time with family over the weekend. Watched all of my favorite Christian movies, you know, like Jesus Christ Superstar and Godspell and stuff like that. If you've never seen The Shack, you got to watch The Shack. Okay, so we have a pretty full agenda tonight. Hopefully we'll be done with in about an hour, but next on the agenda that I'm following, I could share it with y'all if you wish, but I'd like an update from the most recent Black Liberation Caucus meeting and the most recent European Descent Allies Caucus meeting. Teresa, if you would give us 3 to 5 minutes on BLC, and Sue Hilton give us 3 to 5 minutes on EDAC. Teresa?
Well, our most recent meeting was March 24th, which we did record, and we really focused for the most part of the meeting, the first hour, on the situation in Palestine and Gaza. And we had the 4 speakers, and I'm very proud of that because during the 3 a.m. meeting, when the issue was raised, and I said I felt that the women from the MENA region, which none of them were present for the 3 a.m. meeting, that they felt they were not being supported enough. And I said I did send the video out. And Jenny, she quickly dropped the link to the video in the chat. And that was really heartwarming. And so I just say that the BLC has launched something that is transforming wealth. It's transforming wealth by who's in it. And the fact that we've been recruiting, particularly women of African descent, over a wide geographic area. And it is just really important, as I learned today, that people from Australia are worried about sustainability of the organization. And I've just quickly said, I'm sorry to take this momentary detour, but it kind of connects to the fact that we have been recruiting younger women. I'm 75, and most of the women I have recruited are 20 or more years younger than me. And that's how we sustain the organization. And that is a part of the BLC 3-year strategic plan. And I hope we do not lose sight of the fact that there's one component that has not been done. And I hope that George gets all the support she needs from people who do the work on a regular basis and from the EDAC folks who should be all in to support George because they love George. Everybody loves George. So support George. She's part of the BLC and she really needs support now because that component of anti-racism transformation has not gotten much work. So in terms of the BLC, that's been our weak link. But we have been recruiting widely to WILF over the past 2 years and 3 months. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Teresa. So Sue, fill us in on the most recent European Descent Allies Caucus gathering.
Well, we talked about the idea of the training that George is proposing to train the trainers during the WILF Congress, and then have the trainers go out to their branches and work on diversity, equity, inclusion training. And we were all in favor of it. And I think the three of us here will be able to, well, Gloria, not quite clear whether Gloria will be able to, but we're hoping to be able to get trained during the Congress. And I actually have one other person in my branch who's interested.
Terrific. So let me talk a little bit about that. And that is the next thing on our agenda item. I'm going to share the screen so that everyone can see the email that went out about this, because I would like us to all have the same information. Okay, let me see. There you go. Yes. Yes. Okay. On the 29th, last Monday, I think. Maybe not Monday, but on the 29th of March, this email went out to all of the branch contacts that are listed on the website. And it was announcing special D&I sessions. And hopefully y'all can see this and read it yourself. If you can't read it, I'll read it. Basically, the proposal or the invitation is for training for trainers, at least 2 people of European descent from each branch, to attend 2 sessions on Wednesday and Thursday night of the Congress in a breakout room. So I know, Sue, you referred to it as a training, and it is training of trainers, but it's really just the beginning. It's like here are the fundamental things you need to know if you're going to do this and do it well. So that first evening is about principles, definition, and the process to go through training. Dr. Linda, I sent you a 3-page document that I think is a description of the process. Not going to put you on the spot to give any feedback on that, but maybe in a little bit. And then the second night is about how do you make the process work? How do you have ongoing accountability and support? The other side of the coin of accountability is support. And then having a work plan, because if you don't have a work plan, you're just floundering. So that is the invitation that went out. My expectation and goal was to have at least 5 initial groups on that. It's a triennial. So I will send this to all of the branch contacts. That was 34 people. I also sent it to Dr. Jean Kennedy, Dr. Laura here, Sheila, and I copied you, Sue. And the reason I did that is because Dr. Jean Kennedy has been doing anti-racism work in her Fresno branch for at least several years. I know Dr. Linda is an expert at this. I'm experienced. Experience doesn't necessarily make me an expert. And Sheila Harper, I know, has been doing it for a good long time. And as my supportive sister comrade Teresa will remind me, this is not something I choose to do or do well without a team. And a lot of the principles I've done this work on depend on it being done in a team with other people. That's part of the accountability. So here's the email that went to Dr. Jean and Linda and Sheila. So why did I copy you on this email, right? Y'all can probably read this. I regard you as comrades, experts, and potential partners. So I'm being presumptive to reach out and say, please help with this. Advice, recommendations, review anything I'm going to use, give me your best advice. So that's where we are with this. And as a result of this, who reached out and said, okay, we'll see if we can make this work. Sue Hilton has another person of European descent who is agreeing to be part of it. So we've got Humboldt branch. Judy from Palo Alto is looking for a person. That's 2. I think Tina is trying to identify someone. You can let us know, Tina, if that's the case. That would be 3 branches. Yes.
Yes, we have,
So that's
yes.
possibly 3 branches. I reached out to a woman in the Triangle branch, Tana Hartman, I think is her full name, although there's a middle name I'm not remembering. She hasn't gotten back to me, but she did reply on Saturday that she would look for someone because they're not sure as a branch if they plan to participate in the triennial at all. So that's where she was with that. I'm hoping, Robin, that you'll find someone in the Burlington branch. That would bring us to our initial 5 if you're able to.
Okay. Can it be an African American woman?
It can be, but your team has to have at least 2 people of European descent. Because
Okay.
otherwise you're setting up the African American woman for failure and too much work. But we can talk about it. You know, we got time to talk about it and figure out what to do. And if it's not someone from Burlington, maybe there's someone from the, you know, the Boston branch who can support you or something. We'll figure it out. If it's something that you're determined to
Yeah.
make happen, part of my commitment is being determined to help you make it happen. So that's
Okay.
where we are around that piece of work. I think it's going to go forward Wednesday and Thursday night of the triennial, the first 2 nights. I think it's from 6 to 7, possibly 7:30 if there's a gang of people, but only if there's more than 20 people will it go beyond 60 minutes. Tina.
In my email to you, we were suggesting Thursday and Friday. Do you?
Oh, that's
do you
fine.
Do you need it to
Thursday
be
and
Wednesday and
Friday's
Thursday?
fine. No, I'm not attached to what night it is. Just 2
We
consecutive nights in a
yeah, we
breakout
thought that
room.
we thought we'd get better response on Thursday and Friday.
Okay.
And based on your description, I put it at 4 to 6:30, but obviously that's flexible, and that's Eastern time. The kind of more business aspects are starting at 7:30 Eastern. So sorry, Sue and you West Coasters, I'm not making the transition in my head, and Gloria, but
If it's going to be 4:30 for me, it's going to be 1:30 for Sue and Gloria.
right.
That's very early in the day. And no one can endure it for more than 90 minutes. So it's not going to be 2.5 hours. If we were
So 4 to
someplace
6.
pretty in person, we could do 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
On Zoom, there's no way.
Mhm.
My
So
folks do not have the
4 to
emotional
6:30
capacity.
works then?
4 to 5:30.
Oh, is that got it? 4 to 5:30. Yes.
90
So
minutes max.
so do you want to start it later so that it'll be, let's see, so we could do um we could do
Sue, Gloria, does it make a difference for you the start time? And the
I'm not
people
gonna
that
be
you're
part of
bringing
it.
with
I'm
you?
gonna be out of town in Chicago at a hotel with iffy Wi-Fi in and
that's
out.
right, yeah.
Oh, so
So
you'll be in Chicago.
can't
That's
do
only
it.
1 hour away. Not so bad.
I can't do it. My point
But
is,
you
I can't do it.
Oh, you
I won't
can't
be
do it.
part of
Can you get 2
No,
people
no,
in your branch too?
definite can't do it. I pulled out of all the triennial
Okay.
events. This
All
spring.
right then.
We can check with other people in Arizona.
Yeah.
Yeah.
May I say something too? I think the whole entire schedule should be out because people are hesitant in our branch, because they don't know what other activities are going on. And I
Yeah.
think they're like picking and choosing. So how close are we to completing a schedule? Complete schedule, not just us, but whoever is completing the schedule for the triennial in
We're very
terms of
close.
sessions.
We're very close to completing it. E-alert's coming out. There's going to be a postcard. We're very close. The rough schedule, there's just a couple of holdups, like where to put the membership meeting and a couple of things like that. But yes, we're very close. Thanks, Sheila. And I think the e-alert that's going out this week is not about the schedule, but there will be something coming out very soon with this. It'll be the link to the website. It'll be loaded onto the website so that people can see. But most of the speakers are all confirmed and will be on the website as soon as the website goes live, which should be within the week.
There's one more expectation I have from this work that I haven't mentioned to y'all that I did mention to Sue and Sheila when we were coming up with the idea, and it was in my email to people. So you come to these initial 2 evenings, and Thursday and Friday won't be heavily laden with other workshops going on at the same time. That's something Tina, you and Nancy said. So there won't be a
Yes.
lot of competition at that time.
Yeah.
But so you come to these two things and your commitment twofold. You go back to your branch, you work as a change team, and you'll know what that is before the end of these 2 sessions, to have DEI training at some consistent time within your branch, every 2 weeks, once a month, every 2 months, something that is consistently planned for the branch. And you make a commitment to reach out and recruit at least 2 members of color within the next year, that you will bring on at least 2 women of color to your branch. So that's the, that's the responsibility or the commitment, or, this is how I get paid for doing the work with you. No one's writing me a check, but you're going to go back and do the work. And then, we will figure out ways to support that work and what you need, because you will need support. I did reach out to Darian over the weekend and then today to let her know this is happening. She's the president, and she tends to have a reaction if she doesn't have a sense that she knows everything that's going on. And she gets to give it her approval or in some level. So I talked to her about this. She encouraged writing an e-news article and putting it on the branches list, because I told her I used the list from the website. She said they're not, the branch contacts aren't necessarily as up to date as they might be and may not be as active. So I will probably put something on the branches list and possibly write an e-alert, before the middle of April. So that's all I've got on that. Any other comments or questions?
If you'd like a little help writing the e-alert.
Very good. Thanks, Sue. I will take you up on that. I'm not a writer. All right.
I was just going to say, just my observation, George, on what you sent me. And by the way, I beg to differ with you. You appear to be quite experienced in this work. You should give yourself more credit. But I'm just not clear on what the attendees will see when they come on that Thursday or Friday night. And is that something that you will be spelling out with specificity, especially since it looks like we have to reach out and find white women who are willing to be the partners that we need? Is it helpful to give them much more specificity about what their accountability will be for those evenings, Thursday and Friday night?
I'm likely to share any other specificity with you and Sheila, and Dr. Jean or anyone else who can help with content. But in my experience, white folks want to know too much anyway, and they can just get over it and, be there and be open and receptive and trust that it's going to be for the good of all concerned. But of the things that first night, there's some things that just have to be said. Definitions is one of those things that just has to be spelled out for people. Racism is power plus privilege. Folks, people going around saying everybody's racist. No, you have to be white to be racist. And that's a whole thing, and white folks have to know that. And there are other definitions about, homophobia and classism and sexism and all those things. So the definition is important. There's a video clip called "The House You Live In" from a documentary about race, the power of an illusion, that makes it really clear that the reason there isn't generational wealth among Black people rests with the GI Bill right there. So it's 10 minutes, and it's like, there you go. That's why there's a economic gap. And that's basic stuff that happens during the first night. And then going through what I sent you, Dr. Linda, and highlighting some of the pieces that either I put in bold or I underline, because you have to have awareness and consciousness. The consciousness has to go to action. The action has to be accountable and measurable. And there you go. That's your basic stuff. So that's the first night. And then the second night, it's like, how do we put this into practice? What does accountability look like? What's the difference between accountability and support? Can I be held accountable without making myself and other people feel like shit?
Right.
All those kind of things. And then a plan, an actual written, measurable plan that you are implementing with other people on your team. So that's a
Okay.
lot of the second night.
That's very helpful for me because I'm coming in with a blank piece of paper, and I don't know what the framing was going to be for the members, what you've done already, what has worked in the past, what you haven't touched on, etc. So that was very helpful for me. Thank you, George.
Sure. I'm glad.
And can I just add one more thing?
Go ahead.
Expected outcomes. Expected outcomes
Yes, ma'am.
are needed. You know,
Yeah.
what do we expect people to do as a result of all of this? You know,
Mhm.
I know in working with the Philadelphia branch, some of the things that kind of came out were, well, I don't know. I'm not comfortable. It depends on where I am and who I'm with before I can say something. You know,
Right.
and we want to women, to all of us, to feel empowered to be in our skin and say what we feel. So the outcomes, you know, the expectations, so that everybody is clear on what we're trying to get to. That's all.
Thank you, George. You've done a great job.
Well,
Yes, you
I'm
have.
trying to get right on track, which I haven't been on track and have to do what I can while I can. All right. So that was our big conversation of the call. After that, I've got announcements and next date and the facilitators for the next meeting. So, Tina, one of the things you mentioned that you're trying to do on the timing is finding time for a membership meeting. Can you give me a sense of what that membership meeting might entail and how long a time we might have?
Not in your training, in the big Congress.
So it would be a meeting of the full membership on Saturday or Sunday?
That is ideal, yes. But every Congress usually, perhaps not our first virtual one last time, has a membership meeting. And we have certain topics that we want to cover that could be in a membership meeting, such as the Lloyd family legacy, CSW presentation, also like a snapshot of our finances, there, and maybe broaching the potential of having regional meetings. So we have a few things like that. Someone brought up the idea that people may have resolutions as well. Resolutions take time, so we're not particularly I'm about to put out a message to the board to kind of maybe suggest that if we do have any resolutions, they could be started at the Congress and maybe voted on in the future. But does that answer your question about membership meeting? We had a little discussion about with the larger board about what kind of needs to happen at it, or what could be involved in a membership meeting, and those are some of the things. So and we know whatever members want to bring up, because we are a member organization, and in light of that, there needs to be not just workshops and fun and trainings, but also membership meeting. Does that answer your question?
It does. Thanks so much. Robin.
Robin? Mhm.
Yeah, I have a question related to that, and that's based on hoping everyone's read the latest Peace and Freedom. That in the article that I wrote, I made a proposal for a resolution to the 100th anniversary of WILF in 2015 that was summarily dismissed. WILF International without a vote. Okay. And this is simply the endorsement and support for a United Nations World Parliament or Parliamentary Assembly as a part of the United Nations, not just the current assembly that we have that are all appointees from countries, but this would be similar to a House of Representatives, people elected in their areas, not by governments, but by people. So anyway, I would like to renew that. It was okayed by Wilf US in 2014. And as I say, it was brought to the international 100th anniversary in 2015. And I would like to try bringing it through again and see what we think in the US. And then next year it would be brought up again to the international Wilf Congress. So I'm just.
I agree with that. I agree with that because I noticed, I felt like all of the Wolf events were outside events. I did not feel like we were actually involved as what you're proposing. So I agree with that 100%. And I'm shocked that they didn't vote, or it wasn't brought up. Which way was it?
Someone on the international board just torpedoed it.
Wow.
I won't point the fingers yet.
All right,
Hmm.
Gloria.
Oh, am I unmuted? Okay, I'm gonna send this so you can read it faster than I can say it. This is the situation in Leviathan's Belly here, Tucson. And it's very difficult to budge. You need dynamite. Well, that's too violent, but you need X-lax or something to get people moving here out of their usual little trajectories. They each have their own project. We have one from Veterans for Peace, only does Veterans for Peace stuff. One's all into Palestine, and those are all good things. One is mostly Raging Grannies, which gets fed, when Jan Quarterman comes, then they get all whipped up. So it's very hard to introduce anything new to a group like this. They don't seem to be caring much about what goes on at the national level. Are any other branches like this, or is this unique to Tucson?
I think the Triangle branch is like that. When I was talking to Tanya,
Okay.
she was talking about how they operate on their own something.
Yeah,
Sue.
and okay.
Our branch isn't very involved in national either, but I would suggest maybe that the people who are interested in border issues have a stake in DEI education. And they might be good people to try to recruit for this.
Well, yeah. If they're not.
And anyone who wants to sustain the organization beyond the next 25 or 30 years,
Yeah,
all of us will be dead.
They know they'll keep meeting in somebody's living room, whether there is a Wilf or not, and call themselves Wilf. That seems to be the bottom line.
Yeah, but then our effectiveness is zero, and
I
our
wish we could-
influence is also very, very limited.
I think we need to do maybe an infomercial about that problem, because people feel like they're meeting in somebody's living room. They have their little projects that they do, and who cares at the national level what happens? And maybe they aren't worried enough about that survivability of the organization. I don't know how to reach them on these things.
Wow. Tina, I think you're hearing some good themes and topics for a membership meeting. Sustainability, overall health of the organization.
Yeah, Tina, this is important because I've been beating my head here for a long time with these people in Tucson.
No
Well,
one needs to beat their
I
head.
also identify because, I think that our branch too is mostly concerned with our projects, and it is hard to, not only our will projects, but, our Fridays at Fetterman or our, like other coalition groups that we are in relationship with locally. And so it's not really to say that that's not good. It's to emphasize that there is a national organization that can also provide resources, really. It's
We need something that sells the national level to them. And, you know,
Yep.
from rhetoric, you need them to be sold on what's the value of national. I never.
what can national do
about
for you, kind
it.
of?
Why should I care? You know, what's going on, or why should I go to the, I don't know that any of them are planning on attending, maybe Deb Livingston. And I'm gonna start asking them because I know I can't, or I would have,
Yeah.
but they're sitting there in Tucson and I
Well,
don't
y'all,
know.
this is interesting, but
Yeah.
it's not BLC EDAC. I think
Yep.
we've concluded our work. We have
Okay.
not picked out a next meeting or facilitators for a next meeting. And I think, Tina, you've got a planning meeting, Congress planning meeting in 5 minutes.
Yep.
So any suggestions for a meeting in early May or late April, anyone? We've got our BLC regular meeting, but that's, you know, every month on the fourth Sunday. And I don't know if you all,
Calendar is pretty open for the first 2 weeks with only a couple appointments in May.
Teresa,
Yeah, I just want to say to Tina in particular, that we can't ignore, differences, and decisions that appear to have been made. Hopefully those of you who were present at the program committee meeting heard Barbara Nielsen and Dee Murphy align themselves around a membership meeting later down the road. And George, what I heard you say is let's do some regional meetings
yes,
between now and the triannual. And it's these kinds of what I call fundamental missteps that causes the kind of tension where Dee says, I'm the conference coordinator and I keep making these decisions and people keep coming behind me and changing them, Tina. That's what I heard from Dee rather clearly. So when you go into your meeting, if it's a Congress organizing meeting, you might want to clarify what that decision was that Barbara Nielsen and Dee Murphy said they would work together on. And I am really excited, George, about the possibility that we would do a South regional meeting soon, so that even if it's just an initial discussion about getting ready for whatever the fall may hold. But we have to be very careful that we maintain consistency and the integrity of decisions, because it happened at your program committee meeting, George, that these decisions came up. And I think if you step outside of it, it would look rather awkward, to say the least. And just listening to the plans, I think we can't lose sight of what happened at the last program committee meeting. Thank you.
thank you, Teresa. So any suggestions for a follow-up meeting of this body for late April or early May?
Early May would be best for me because I'm in proposal writing time.
Oh,
I have proposals
congratulations.
too. Oh boy.
I can,
Yeah.
is there a day of the week that's better or a time of the day that's better?
Always for me, evening after 6, anytime after 6.
Okay,
6:30.
evenings after 6.
I will say that Mary Foster can really pretty much only meet on Saturday nights. If we're
Saturday
doing
night.
a combined meeting.
Okay, so is there anyone not willing to meet on a Saturday night in May after 6? I'll send a couple of options out, you know, in a week or so. And I did get an email from Mary Sue, so thanks for reminding me about that. Any announcements, anything else to say before we say goodnight?
Thank you,
Sue,
George.
Sue, can I exchange emails with you? Are you organizing for the EDAC or the convening or? I'll try- Okay.
Yeah.
I'll try to recruit a couple people if you stick your email in the.
Yes, that's great.
I
I'm
don't think I
trying
have it.
to, okay,
No, I
I'll
get
just
it.
put it in here.
Perfect, thanks.
I
I get
will
it.
send the chat out, and when I send out the recording, everyone's email will be visible to
Oh.
everyone else. So
Perfect, okay.
you'll be good.
I have a question before we
Yes,
go.
ma'am.
I can't do this. I told you that, but is there
Yes, you
any
did.
value or will you be recording it? So at least someone could watch, parts of it.
I don't really plan to record it. I'm not strongly against it, but I'll also consult with people like Dr. Linda and Sheila and Dr. Jean, who have as much or more experience than me, and get their sense. But I want people to be present and real, authentic. Sometimes that's not as well served when you're being recorded. I just don't know for real.
No,
I can't
I don't
say,
know.
but yeah, it's, we'll figure it out.
Well,
Bye,
we'll
all.
have your trainings, I'm sure.
All right. Good night, y'all.
Okay.
Good night, thanks.
Bye.
Good night, and
Bye-bye.
thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Hey.